Hello everybody, this is Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries. Today we have our friend Tim Kelly on the show. Tim, say hello to the Torah Life audience.
Hello, Torah Life audience.
Tim, I'm so excited to have you on the show. We are at Sukkot, which is an event of a biblical feast that you've been putting on for quite a while now. Can you tell everybody a little about the Feast of Tabernacles and what exactly it is?
Well, the Feast of Tabernacles is one of the Moedim of Leviticus 23 that God commanded the children of Israel to keep, and it's one of those things that God's people would want to keep because we're all part of the children of Israel, according to Galatians, I think it's 3:29.
Sure. Now, the Feast of Tabernacles is one of the appointed feast times where the men were appointed and told to go up to Jerusalem.
Right.
And so now if we can't make it to Jerusalem, tell us a little about what there are a lot of groups doing around the United States.
Well, a lot of groups are taking and doing their best to keep the festival as the Scripture shows. The Scriptures don't tell us very much about how to keep the festivals. Basically, all it talks about is, like, for instance, Feast of Tabernacles is building booths and taking the four species, and some believe they should build booths out of it, some believe they should wave it as a lulav. But nevertheless, there's not very many instructions outside of the many various sacrifices that are offered. So what we do is we just try to offer an 8-day experience of teaching and learning, and it's a lot of fellowshipping and getting together and just setting the time aside. I think it's just important to realize that God is there. He's taking this time off himself and spending it with us, and so we want to reciprocate.
Now, there are a lot of groups more and more each year putting on events like this around the United States and all over the world. The group that you have together, tell everybody a little about it, the website and the whole ministry.
Well, we've been keeping the feast, my wife and I, for a number of years, but we decided we wanted to change the way we do it and make it more biblically based instead of a sort of a vacation as what it used to be for us. And so we wanted to get various speakers to come in. We weren't necessarily concerned that they all believe the same thing we do, because we were realizing that we needed to learn new things ourselves. And so we invited speakers to come in and present different messages, but we always required the messengers or the speakers to take questions afterwards. We thought speakers needed to be accountable for what they said. So we always required them to ask questions so that the audience could actually find out if what they were saying was actually true. They could hold them, accountable for the interpretation of the Scriptures and that type of thing.
Well, in the Scriptures it talks about the fruit revealing the efforts, or however we want to say it, the fruit is shown and so on. Of all the different feast sites around the country, usually there might be a small site with 50 or 100 people, maybe some bigger ones. How many on average over the last, let's say, 5 years or so would show up at the Tabernacles that you put on?
Well, in 2008, we moved from Ardmore, Oklahoma, to Paris Landing in Tennessee, and at that time we had about 500. We only stayed there 1 year and moved to this camp we're at right now, which is an awesome camp, and we're hoping to be able to stay here for a number of years. But we had this year close right at about 850 people in attendance. The numbers are not really that big of a deal for us. I'm an organizer, and I own a business, and I have to organize things in my business. So I get a lot of thrill out of organizing things like this and being able to provide this service for these people.
Sure. Now, is there a reason why, because your main ministry is in Texas, correct?
Right.
So is there a reason why you was in Tennessee and now you're putting it on in Missouri? Do you move around for a reason, or is that just you look for what campsites available?
Yeah, we're looking for a specific type of facility that has various types of housing. A lot of people like to camp. A lot of people can't camp, and so we like to provide a hotel type situation for them. And this particular facility had that. It had the added bonus that people who stayed in the lodges could also use kitchens that were dedicated, for their use. Plus, they had a dining hall for those who wanted to get someone else to cook for them. So, this facility has just about any type of housing that you would want. So, it fits our need, and it's also at the end of the road, and it goes to a lake. So we it's a sort of millennial setting for us, and we can get away from the hustle and bustle and get down in here in this own little corner, and everybody can enjoy themselves. Kids can ride bicycles without worrying about traffic. That's what we like.
Now there's different feast sites going on and doing this. Do you ever think, I know you're not interested in numbers, but do you ever think a camp can be too small or get too big, or you think as long as it's organized it doesn't matter?
Well, it needs to be organized. I don't think it can get too big, and I don't think it can get too small either. I think, in a small group, you have a problem with people being available to speak. And I know how it is with people; they get bored real quickly, and so it's always important to have a lot for them to do. Here at Season of Our Joy, they don't have to do everything, but we make a lot of things available to them. There again, on the other hand, if it gets too big or it gets a lot of people in it, you just got to have more help to handle it all. And if you got the help, then that's great. People like to get together in larger groups. They like to meet people that they wouldn't have met before. And because of the way we've been doing this for a number of years, we got people coming from all over the country.
How much percent of the people that come to the Feast of Tabernacles are already learning about Hebraic roots versus somebody who was just invited to it, a Christian that has no idea about it?
Well, I don't think we have that many that don't have any idea, because it's sort of hard to dedicate 8 days to something you don't know anything about. But there are a number of people, I would say 10 to 20% even, of people who this is their very first Feast of Tabernacles. They're just now learning this stuff. In fact, I know of a family that came this year, and they were keeping church, Sunday as a worship day up until about 3 months ago. So, but they came and they spent the entire 8 days. So you've got a lot of new people coming into this thing.
With the popularity of this biblical walk, it also creates a target. Have you ever run into any issues at all, or even heard of issues with other feast sites where the enemy might have attacked?
Well, the only issues we have had up to this point, other than just teenage kids getting in trouble or something like that, is the desire of other people to take and use your venue as a way to promote their own ministry. That was one of the problems we had in Ardmore, Oklahoma, is that there were groups coming in and even putting up signs saying that the feast is being kept at their location instead of where we were holding meetings. And so they come in and they want to use what you've built in order to promote their own thing. And I just don't believe that's right. If people want to speak at Season of Our Joy, we give them opportunities to speak. But we totally reject the notion that you can come in and start setting up shop in someone else's camp.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about modesty? Because I know that's a topic that a lot of people shun away from because it's not popular. And you've allowed me to come speak about modesty, and you have a strong heart for it. So can you tell us a little about where your desire for the modest dress comes in?
Well, modesty applies to both men and women. And what I like to see people do in regards to this festival is to honor God in what they do. I believe that this is, again, like I said earlier, this is an opportunity for people to have a closer fellowship with God than they would have otherwise. The Moedim, according to what I understand in the scriptures, are given at a time when God is saying, okay, let's go on a date. Let's date each other. Let's talk to each other. Let's find out about each other. And we know that if as children, when we went on dates, or young people, when we went on dates, we dressed up nice for our date. And so I believe it's important for us to also dress up nice when we are going to be here in front of God for this 8-day period. And plus, we like to eliminate the temptations that are out there, and so we've instructed the ladies to dress appropriately. And quite frankly, I just believe that women look a lot better in long skirts. And so we push that. We push the modesty and dress as far as men are concerned. We don't require shirt and ties and suits and all that, but we do not want to come and see you all ragged out either.
For people that are interested in your feast site and your tabernacles and the information of your ministry. Now, I think they're both separate, your feast site and your ministry site. Give us the feast site so where people can learn more about tabernacles, see some history of what happened in the past with your tabernacle sites and the pictures, and also where your future ones are going to be. And then let's talk a little about your ministry.
Okay, well, we're going to be here, as far as I can tell, for the
tell everybody where we are.
Number of years. We're at Windermere Camp, the Windermere Baptist Conference Center in Roach, Missouri, on Lake of the Ozarks. And in fact, I was talking to the staff today, and they're looking 5 years down the road. And so that's where we're looking to. So we're hoping to stay here. We like this facility, and it fits our needs and gives us room to grow.
So, okay, and it's wonderful. Now, what's the website they can go to for that?
Okay, Season of Our Joy, you can either go, well, I'll just give you the easy one, www.sooj.org, sooj.org.
Wonderful. Now, tell us a little about your ministry and your ministry website.
Okay, our ministry is called Ami Israel. It's AMIYISRAEL.org. And basically, we started Ami Israel as a way to have a sponsor for Season of Our Joy. And that was what we originally did, but then we decided to start a fellowship, and so we named it Ami Israel as well. And so that's where we're at right now. Our fellowship in East Texas is called the Ami Israel Fellowship. And we also do a prison ministry that's based on the same.
Wonderful. And give us that website again.
www.AMIYISRAEL.org.
Great. Now there's one more topic I want to talk about before we end, and that is at your feast, I see a lot of people dancing and a lot of great worship. And you have something powerful to say about men dancing as well as women. So can you tell us a little about your heart for dancing and worship?
Well, I love to dance, and I love it because that's what my wife does. And I want to support my wife in everything that she does. So she loves the dance, and so I'll dance with her, and I'll dance in the group to support her. And then there's some of the dances I just really love myself to do, and that's what's happened now. My wife is she leads the dance at Season of Our Joy, as well as our fellowship, and she's always learning new dances, and she just loves it to death. Now, I think it's important for men to dance together. I think it's an awesome thing to watch, and it's an awesome thing to do for men to take and join hands together and dance and worship God together. And I would like to see more of that as we go down and go through the ages and through the years. And hopefully we'll have eventually maybe a place big enough that we can have men's circles and women's circles at the same time.
How discouraging is it when the worship music is on and people are dancing, but there are other people just sitting down?
Oh, I hate it. I just hate it. And just about every year I ask people to show me where in the Bible it says that you are to sit and worship God. It seems like the scripture seems very clear that you stand up before Yahweh and worship Him. And so we encourage everybody to stand. We obviously know that there are people that can't for physical disabilities and that. But we certainly encourage everybody to stand before Yahweh and worship before Him that way.
Great. And before we end, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just sort of glad Paul's here this year. Someone I can take and blame my modesty things on this year.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, shalom.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways, Torah Life Ministries. Come out of the world,